Sports weeknights at 6 and 10.
This is the CBS Evening News. Susan Spencer reporting. Good evening. In Panama tonight, still no sign of deposed President Duvalier and no sign that his efforts to oust Panamanian strongman Noriega are having much success. In a newspaper interview today, Noriega charged that the CIA is working to install a puppet regime in Panama. Richard Roth has more.
Panama is at rest, says its military chief, calm and tranquil. In an interview today with CBS News 60 Minutes correspondent Mike Wallace, Army Commander Manuel Noriega accused the U.S. of seeking to impose American law on Panama. Under Panamanian law, he said, Eric Arturo del Valle is an ex-president, adding he's with the Americans, with the American ambassador. The embassy here wouldn't comment. So with government troops still watching his home and relatives beginning to pack up his possessions, Del Valle's whereabouts were unconfirmed. He's protected by a good Panamanian family, according to an aide. I'm going to stick it out, the deposed president said in a phone call to a reporter. Let the world know that I'm in Panama, that I'm not leaving. Some members of his family had taken refuge at the home of the U.S. ambassador, though a spokesman for General Noriega tried to make it all sound like unnecessary melodrama.
He has committed no crime and he is a free citizen. He was never under arrest and there is no judiciary action against him. He can go back to his house and his private business.
But his private business, a TV station, has been shut down by the Army, and Rognoni says it's now considered government property. By all appearances in the capital today, Panamanians seemed indifferent to the political crisis. There may be confusion over who's president, but there's no doubt about who's in charge. The Chamber of Commerce building, headquarters for the opposition, is still closed by order of Noriega's army. And though opposition leaders hope for a general strike this week to put pressure on the army chief, they're not predicting quick results.
Maybe Noriega will not fall because of this strike. We're not expecting this to be like the final battle. We see ourselves more as a guerrilla outfit.
A statement from Panama's Catholic bishops today was read in churches throughout the country, a call on the government to respect civil rights and the Constitution, and a warning to all sides against deepening what the bishops now call a crisis. Richard Roth, CBS News, Panama City.
Some U.S. lawmakers are calling the situation in Panama a crisis as well, but the Organization of American States is proceeding with great caution. Deborah Potter reports on reaction from both Capitol Hill and the OAS.
The Organization of American States, meeting in Washington this weekend, did not take any action against Noriega, despite the best efforts of the Reagan administration. But supporters of President Del Valle were not discouraged.
What they gave us last night was the moral support and the diplomatic support that is very important in this fight.
To keep up the pressure, the United States is considering economic steps against Panama in consultation with other countries. But some members of Congress want action now on a total trade embargo.
We are pussyfooting. We really are. Now, my gosh, we don't have to commit troops there, but at least let's sustain this effort. If indeed we recognize Del Valle, then let's come to his aid by going along with the trade embargo. I'll tell you what will take place. Noriega will be out within 1 week.
For the moment, officials say there is every reason for the United States to be restrained, and the 10,000 American troops stationed in Panama and their dependents have been told to keep a low profile.
Noriega is shrewd. He is crafty. He would like for us to fall into his net. He would like for us to do something that would stir up anti-Americanism in the rest of Latin America.
But if Noriega were to threaten the canal, which is vital to U.S. national interests, all bets could be off.
It would be a very bad mistake under these circumstances, and we would have to defend ourselves, and I think we would, and I think we're capable of it.
Administration officials say the next few days should provide a clearer indication of where things are heading in Panama. Said one official, "We are watching it every minute." In his words, "We have not seen the end of this play." Deborah Potter, CBS News, the White House.
U.S. efforts to end trouble in another part of the world met with some limited success today. Secretary of State Shultz's dogged pursuit of support for the administration's Middle East peace plan finally found a taker. Wyatt Andrews has details.
For Secretary Shultz, the first sign of progress, an endorsement of the concept of his peace plan from Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. Notable because Egypt becomes the first Arab country not to publicly turn Schultz down. Interesting because Schultz did all the talking when it was over. The Egyptians said nothing.
We both feel that we have a package that is promising. At least we think it's promising. Whether anybody else will think it's promising is a question.
Egyptian support was somewhat predictable. It was Mubarak who helped encourage Schultz's mission when Mubarak came to Washington a month ago. But Egypt's backing is especially important as Schultz appeals for a meeting with Palestinians, a meeting so far blocked by the PLO. Egypt is trying to help. The trick will be finding Palestinians acceptable to the PLO without making it a formal PLO meeting, which is unacceptable to Schultz. Schultz's other shuttle mission, the one between Israel's two top leaders, also continues, as Schultz returns to Israel every day to tell the Israelis what the Arabs said. At least Shimon Peres thinks Schultz is getting somewhere.
I would say don't jump to negations.
What do you mean, sir?
That nothing is dead and nothing is at a dead end.
Even though the Palestinians can't decide how to deal with Schultz, and with much of the Arab world rejecting him in public, Schultz is already hinting he may return to the region as early as late next week. In other words, to Schultz, this is just round one. Apparently, no doesn't mean no just yet. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Cairo.
In a moment, a look at an idea to disband the post office. It's getting some stamps of approval. And later on, a profile of Grammy Award nominee Jonathan Butler, for whom apartheid hits home.
Bring your dreams to life with Pella Wood windows and beautiful new Pella Wood doors.
Bring your home to Pella.
Whatever you dream of, from a sunny sunroom to a kitchen bay, we'll help bring your dreams to life. Talk to the window experts.
Bring your home to Pella, the Pella Window Store.
Daddy, I want my teddy bear.
I want my Serta.
Get comfortable. Get a Serta Perfect Sleeper. It'll spoil you for sleeping any other way.
I want my Serta.
Hemorrhoids. They hurt, burn, and swell. And more doctors recommend Anusol to relieve the hurting than all other hemorrhoid medicines combined. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
George Bush has won the Republican presidential caucuses in Maine, is sometime home. And with the Democrats still voting, CBS News determines that Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis will be the winner there. But Jesse Jackson finishes a strong second, a surprisingly good showing in a state where less than 1% of the voting age population is black. The Republican presidential contenders were all in Atlanta today for a debate and some pre-Super Tuesday campaigning. Bill Whitaker reports.
Pat Robertson went to church today, preaching to the converted.
The thing we need is a moral and spiritual restoration of the United States of America.
Robertson has largely downplayed his religious background this campaign, attempting to broaden his appeal. But now, with Super Tuesday little more than a week away, and new polls showing Robertson far behind in important southern states like South Carolina and Florida, the former minister is shoring up his evangelical base.
When you look at the numbers, you see the base is absolutely tremendous in sheer numbers alone. So we've never really needed to reach outside the base in order to get the nomination.
So that's why some observers say he took the politically risky move yesterday of publicly reaching out to fallen TV evangelist Jimmy Swaggart.
So I just wanted to symbolically put my arm around him and say, you're a brother and I love you and I'm here to tell the world.
He is playing to a constituency that he needs in order to get the kind of turnout on March 8th that will hopefully give him a victory.
But at today's Republican debate, it wasn't Pat Robertson, but George Bush leading across the South, who was the focus of attack.
Well, I started off with the free, and you said it's a terrible idea, and a week later you were talking about a
not only my freeze, but a 4-year freeze.
Well, how does yours work?
How does yours work? How does yours work?
This is a form Jack Kemp, hoping to revive his flagging campaign, took aim at the two front runners.
Under Bob Dole or George Bush, you're going to get exactly the same thing. They sound alike, they talk alike.
Candidates perceived to be ahead usually draw the most fire at these debates. Today, Pat Robertson was largely left alone. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Atlanta.
In Baton Rouge, Jimmy Swaggart, suspended from preaching, did mount the pulpit of his church today, but just long enough to thank those who supported him during what he called his darkest week. Swaggart said he will spend the next 3 months feeding on, quote, the meat of the word, and he added, don't spare the Holy Ghost calories. A new Postmaster General goes to work this week. Anthony Frank takes over a service that's been providing less and less of it. As Robert Shackney reports, there is growing sentiment to let private enterprise pick up some of the slack and some of the mail.
You can no longer buy a stamp or mail a package at this Arlington, Virginia post office on Thursday afternoons. Around the country, post offices are cutting back their hours to save money. And not only that, the price of mailing a letter is going up this spring, probably to a quarter. All of this adds ammunition to a controversial Reagan administration proposal.
The Postal Service might become part of private enterprise.
Budget Director Miller says private companies like Federal Express or United Parcels should be allowed to compete with the post office in delivering mail. That in 1988 there is no justification for an inefficient government-run monopoly.
You know, in a time when letter prices are going up and a time when there are service cutbacks, we ought to be looking at some alternative arrangements. I think that private entrepreneurs should be given the same opportunity to go in and compete.
A presidential commission will formally recommend privatizing the post office next month. It would not be easy. The post office is a massive enterprise, 800,000 employees, a $33 billion annual budget, moving as much mail and packages in a week as private companies move in a year. Post office defenders worry that private business would ignore unprofitable but vital services like rural delivery. And if it ain't broke, they say, why fix it?
I think the United States Postal Service is the best and cheapest postal system in the world, and I think this country ought to think long and hard before we begin to break that up.
You could destroy that whole system if you start this privatization process.
Whether it's a good idea or not, selling off the post office, if it happens at all, won't happen very quickly. There's too much opposition on Capitol Hill. But administration officials say that what counts is that for the first time, people are seriously thinking about it. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Washington.
Welcome to another round of Name That Cereal. Fruit and fiber cereal tastes so good, you forget the fiber. Are you ready?
Yes. Sweet and chewy dates, fat raisins, meaty walnuts, crisp light flakes.
All right, name that cereal.
I know. It's fruit.
Oh, sorry. It's post-fruit and fiber cereal packed with delicious fruit and high-fiber flakes. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
Imagine you were building a town. One company can supply you with almost any kind of truck to do almost any kind of job. That company is Ryder. We're more than yellow trucks. We help build towns, business by business, family by family, dream by dream. Ryder, we're there at every turn.
Fancy perfumey aftershave. It's got to be a quarterback's locker. Real guys who get mud on their uniforms use rugged, honest stuff. Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva man.
So you still think linemen are dumb?
They can't do this to me. I have a company car, Italian office furniture, a family, and that printer delivers 4,000 misprinted invoices.
Why let a bad printing job ruin a perfectly good career? Take it to Pip.
I could lose my dental plan.
A security scare today in Long Beach, California, where Britain's visiting Duke and Duchess of York went to church. As Prince Andrew and his wife Sarah attended services inside St. Luke's Episcopal Church, security officials outside arrested a man armed with a fake M16 rifle. Sources say the man, who wasn't identified, had recently been released from a mental institution. The recording industry hands out its Grammy Awards this Wednesday night. One nominee who hopes to be a winner has his home in London, but his heart is in South Africa. Martha Teichner has more.
The Simi River is a river in turmoil. Debate over the river's future is being waged by environmentalists, local residents, and the U.S. government. In the 1960s, at a cost of $30 million, the winding river was transformed by the Army Corps of Engineers.
Good care of me.
Jonathan Butler, rising star. At 26, guitarist, singer, songwriter. Nominated for 2 Grammy Awards.
So take good care of me.
He left 3 years ago for London. His sound is international, easy-listening pop, but South Africa is still in his soul, and in a song that could win him the record industry's top award, Going Home.
I was really longing to see my family. You know, I felt like, God, there's so much happening there. I felt really insecure about how they been treated, and that one of my little nieces might be dead, running in the streets coming back from school.
Home for Jonathan Butler is Athlone, a mixed-race suburb of Cape Town. When he wrote the song, it was one of the bitterest battlegrounds in the struggle against apartheid. He grew up in a tin shanty, the poorest house on the street, the youngest of 17 children. His mother still lives there. By the time he was a teenager, Jonathan Butler was being called South Africa's Michael Jackson, but his gold records only made his record company rich. He still dreams of being able to build his mother a new house.
He told me, Mommy, Rome wasn't built in one day, so just hang on, I'm going to build you a house. Always tells me that. So I would like to see what Rome is doing now.
Every day she plays on an old organ a white woman throughout. Only now, since he left South Africa, has Jonathan Butler begun to come to terms with what it means to be black there.
I'm all of a sudden getting angry. Oh my God, how can these people live like that? How can they treat men, women, and children like that? You know, so I'm trying to say a positive thing. I'm trying to express more love.
Apartheid will be a passing word. Violence will be a voice that is unheard.
Martha Teichner, CBS News, Cape Town.
The curtain comes down tonight on the Calgary Winter Olympics, one full of disappointments for American athletes. Last night, with the gold medal within her grasp, figure skater Debbie Thomas fell short of her hopes and expectations. East Germany's Katharina Witt took the gold, but Thomas held on for the bronze, giving the U.S. team a final total of 6 medals, 2 golds, a silver, and 3 bronzes. In a few months, the Olympic flame will burn again for the Summer Games in South Korea. One U.S. Olympian with gold already on his mantle has a burning ambition to win again, no matter what the obstacles in his way. Richard Schlesinger reports.
Jeff Blatnick of the United States, the second gold medal.
When Jeff Blatnick won the gold medal for wrestling in 1984, he had already gone to the mat against a far more formidable opponent, cancer of the lymph nodes. He fought the cancer into remission before triumphing in Los Angeles.
I'm a happy dude.
But 1 year later, Blatnick's cancer returned. He had to undergo painful chemotherapy that sapped his strength and forced him to give up wrestling.
There were days when I looked at the room and I put my head down because I wanted Jesus. There's times you wonder if this is worth it.
Blatnick's cancer is in remission again, and he's now trying to come back, trying to prove he is still the man he was before his 2 attacks of cancer.
I think I needed a re-education after going through it again, and wrestling's been the one way I've learned in this life, so I went back to basics and started wrestling.
It was wrestling that made Blatnick a hero in his hometown, but to make the Olympic team for the 3rd time, Blatnick will have to defeat his friends, people who admire him as much as they want to beat him.
I've grown up with the Blatnick mystique, and I think that's harder to overcome than anything.
While wrestling is still important to Blatnick, it is no longer the only thing in his life. His 2 experiences with cancer have changed him.
I think that's really softened Jeff and made him, probably a better person, I think is the best way to describe it.
Blatnick now spends part of each day corresponding with other cancer patients. He is a role model whose life carries a simple message.
There is always another chance. All you have to do is want there to be.
Blatnick wants another chance at a gold medal in Seoul this summer. He calls that an unbelievable dream, but he's beaten tougher odds before, and he's done it twice. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
You should have seen this Whirlpool cooktop a little while ago. My husband made chili. I said, from now on, use a pot, okay? But with this smooth ceramic surface, it was so easy to clean. And in here, I found a small meteorite. My son swears it was a TV dinner. Whatever it was, Whirlpool's self-cleaning oven took care of it. Heck, the way my Whirlpool appliances clean up, I feel just like June Cleaver.
We're making your world a little easier. Whirlpool.
In Ricky Rudd's high-torque V8, clean-running Quaker State with QSX provides unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And the oil that protects my car on the track is the same oil you buy right off the shelf.
The Big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Finally, there's an extra-strength antacid that doesn't taste chalky. Introducing extra-strength Maalox Whip. Extra-strength relief and smooth, creamy taste. New extra-strength Maalox Whip. Extra-strength whipped in, chalky taste wiped out.
When they started some 30 years ago, health maintenance organizations, so-called HMOs, were seen as a godsend, a promising model for cost-efficient health care. Today, millions of Americans belong to HMOs. As for the promise,
I would say the HMO environment here is just in total chaos. It's turmoil.
HMOs are here to stay, and I think it's been very successful.
Minneapolis, which had one of the first HMOs, does agree on one thing. The HMO idea caught on like wildfire here. Today, over half the population belongs to a health maintenance organization. One flat fee covers medical costs, period. But in the last 2 years, 2 of the city's HMOs have gone under. Honeywell, which offered HMO coverage to employees, last year pulled out completely. Control Data now offers regular health insurance along with HMO coverage and is doing its best to entice employees away from the HMO.
We don't feel as though we have control over our health care expenditures, because if we did, they wouldn't be increasing at the rate that they're currently increasing.
Ironically, costs are increasing in part because of the HMO's success. That success bred more HMO competition, and in cities like Minneapolis, HMOs kept prices artificially low to compete.
Primary cause of all the losses was just plain underpricing of the product, and there's a need to bring more cash into the system.
Also pushing prices up, senior citizens who have joined HMOs in droves. That means more surgery, more hospital stays, more expense.
Those of us in the HMO industries are feeling a little schizophrenic right now because it's a very difficult balancing act.
But some companies aren't giving the HMOs much time to balance.
The employers who think, heck, if this is just a matter of managing money and tests and hospital days, we can do that as well as the HMOs.
When Control Data decided to offer workers an option, Mary Bartich opted out of the HMO.
I figure if I'm paying for the insurance, then I should be able to go to the doctors I want to go to.
But overall, surveys among members find few complaints about the HMO system or quality of care. In fact, more than 50 new plans were started last year. Experts believe HMOs are here to stay and say expect them to offer new programs to compete, but do not expect them to provide any magic answer to the continuing problem of rising health care costs.
I tell you, he's gotten goofy.
I like your dad.
Dad? He thinks he's my brother. Last night we were shooting hoops at 10 o'clock.
So?
Marty, this is the same man who'd never lift his nose out of a newspaper. Now he listens to Z-Rock on the radio. What is this?
The right vitamin nutrition and a balanced diet helps people get more out of life. Some are finding Kellogg's Product 19, 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals.
I just wish he'd act his age, like your dad.
Feel like 19 again.
Every day, over 30 million AT&T calls go through on the first try.
thanks to a remarkably intelligent network that forecasts traffic, anticipates tie-ups, and determines the quickest way around them, all in less time than it takes to dial. The AT&T network, you can call it the mastermind of long distance.
Glad I got through.
We're reaching further to bring your world closer. AT&T, the right choice.
Winter allergies and colds, the sneezing and congestion can make you feel miserable. For relief, discover Benadryl Decongestant, combining Benadryl with the decongestant found in the leading cold medication, Benadryl Decongestant.
Excuse me.
No problem. We know about Kaopectate too.
Kaopectate actually absorbs the germs that can cause diarrhea.
Kaopectate bags. The diarrhea specialist.
Finally tonight, a story with a twist about a river that had plenty of them until man got the idea that the river would be better without them. Now a change of heart, and man is trying to set things straight by making the river crooked again. We'll let Bruce Hall explain.
Far from its placid appearance, the Kissimmee River is a river in turmoil. Debate over the river's future is being waged by environmentalists, local residents, and the U.S. government. In the 1960s, at a cost of $30 million, the winding river was transformed by the Army Corps of Engineers into a straight canal. Now in the 80s, many Floridians have changed their minds, and the state is trying to recreate the natural Kissimmee River.
This is extremely pioneering, groundbreaking work. There is nothing in the scholarly text on how to restore a river.
The state began blocking off parts of the canal, diverting water into the old riverbed, recreating marshes, flooding thousands of acres to check the restoration plan. However, the test is scaring some people living along the river and connecting lakes. They are concerned the floods might return and about the future of their waterfront homes.
The misconceptions are first that nature can do a better job than man.
And there are the ranchers who have turned the old marshlands into prime pasture land.
It would be very devastating to the agriculture in this area.
However, environmentalists claim the test project has been a success, scouring out river bottoms, flushing rotted debris, and bringing back the marsh environment.
It's just tremendous difference. I mean, it looks like a river now.
Parts of the Kissimmee may look like a river again, but the battle over its future is still raging, even as the area is being flooded. Bruce Hall, CBS News, on the Kissimmee River in Florida.
That is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather, of course, will be here tomorrow. I'm Susan Spencer, and I'll be back later with an update on the CBS Sunday Night News. Until then, have a good evening.
In honor of Scope Peppermint's first birthday,
Happy birthday, True Blue.
we're giving you the chance to win the gift.
Happy birthday, True Blue.
You could win sapphire jewelry worth thousands of dollars, service for 8 of fine china, crystal glassware, and more.
Happy birthday, icy, powerful, fresh peppermint True Blue Scope.
Look for the True Blue Birthday Sweepstakes where you buy Scope.
Happy birthday.
You could win.
True Blue.
If you don't blow it.
When constipation plus hemorrhoids twist you in knots, try Haley's MO, the laxative made with Phillips Milk of Magnesia, plus mineral oil, so it lubricates for easier relief. Haley's MO, the laxative for hemorrhoid sufferers.
Scott Emerson once had a heart attack. Today, he had a son. Studies show Bayer aspirin helps reduce the risk of heart attacks. Ask your doctor about a regimen of exercise, the right foods, and Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, who's making money from tax reform?
Also Los Lobos, Lauren Hutton, and singer Paul Simon on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.